Hello, this is Otemi. I just started reading a book yesterday called The Human Network. Early on, it introduces something called the friendship paradox. Put simply, the paradox says, on average, your friends are doing better than you. And that's statistically true. Why is that? Unless you're already super popular, your friends are usually connected to people who are. So on average, your friends have more friends than you do. That's the paradox. Now, why is this important for Bitcoin? As investors, you're probably hunting for altcoins that can give you 1,000 times or 10,000 times returns. But let me explain it this way. We call them alts, but each one is just one among thousands. Bitcoin, on the other hand, no matter how much people dismiss it, Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. In the friendship paradox terms, Bitcoin is the popular one, which means in the end, the blockchain world flows through Bitcoin. If you go to the Cardano community right now, you can see them tearing apart my posts and videos. They say that I know nothing and even attack my character. But what did I actually say? I simply said that after reading the Cardano white paper, I didn't quite get it. And they came back with, how can you judge after reading just one paper? So I said again, exactly, that's why I said I don't know. Then they told me to read 144 more, meaning to have the right to speak about Cardano, I'd need to read 144 papers. But I've already read far more than 144 papers just to talk about Bitcoin. So if it takes 100 plus Cardano papers to earn the right to speak, how many people can we realistically expect to do that? Maybe a handful at best. But with Bitcoin, those people already exist in droves. That's why Bitcoin becomes the coin. That's the network effect. The more you study network theory, the more you understand concepts like centrality and degree, the more you'll see why in reality, decentralization doesn't mean random equal nodes, it still forms centers. It looks paradoxical. You might think, wait, blockchain is decentralized, so why is it so Bitcoin-centric? But you need a realistic perspective. Networks are one of those things that never truly become equal. Never. Eventually, steeply rising hubs form at the center. Building a new one, tearing the old one down, that's hard. It's a tough road. So for me, it's not that ADA fails because the price drops, nor that ADA succeeds just because the price rises. Same goes for Bitcoin. What you need is time. Because through all the ups and downs, what remains is a truly loyal community. Through turnover, through handoffs. In other words, jumping in when the price is high and saying, I love Cardano, that's not loyalty. The loyal ones are those who hold on when it crashes, when it plunges. And the ones who keep studying, that's what real loyalty looks like. Only then can someone truly call themselves a Cardano advocate. Not just anyone can become the center of a network. In real life, we each occupy physical space. That occupation itself imposes limits. I once explained this by comparing it to the Eurasian steppe, isolated by mountains and geography. It sounds abstract, right? That's why I said the steppe's connectivity is fluid. Normally it resists unification, but when unified, everything tilts toward the center. That vast land concentrates all at once. Why? Because it isn't constrained by terrain. That's why the internet, as a space, produces such powerful monopolies. But the metaverse is peculiar. It has this property. It imports the spatial logic of human society into its virtual world. So whether it's Lineage, Roblox, or Minecraft, when you look closely, they all mimic physical spatiality. They have space, there's a next door, a neighbor, and you have your own place. Of course, teleportation makes it different from real space, but there's still spatiality. Lineage 2 is structured around castles. Spatial thinking is hardwired into us. That's why even in the metaverse, we construct spaces. Even though abstraction makes it unnecessary, that's how ingrained the concept of space is in us. In real life, because of spatial limits, inequality between people with many connections and those with few isn't absolute. But in the fully abstract space of the web, inequality tilts dramatically. So what about Bitcoin? Does Bitcoin face these spatial limits? No, it doesn't, which means the tilt becomes even more extreme. Online, a Bitcoin could tilt even more than the dollar. And yes, there are many brilliant crypto projects. But why do they not succeed? Because gaining centrality itself is the hard part. It's not enough to be excellent, you also need to become known. And becoming known is a job in itself, and the road there is long. That's why even great projects fail. There are plenty of amazing solid projects, but they all get buried. Why? Because the network is tilted. One thing that never becomes equal, that's the network, and it only intensifies over time. You need to study this thing called the network effect deeply. It's no joke, it's powerful and scary. I've only read the first part of this book, but it already feels familiar and engaging. I think you'll gain some real insights from it. See you next time. Thank you.